I thought I would try my hand at writing a few of these based on quotes taken from Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. Anyone who has read it in full or part knows that it is studded with jewels of gem-like observations scattered throughout its considerable length. I'll start with this one. Less attention, I suppose, is paid to philosophy in the United States than in any other country in the civilized world. Quite a zinger. He considered us a rough and tumble bunch, and that was in 1830. His comment may be even more binding today. Philosophy is the search for and the love of truth. The first Anglo-Americans were far too busy with survival to worry about the truth. After they had gotten past that, which was no easy task, they were then bent on improving their lot, the good old American pursuit of happiness, which goes on to this day. For most Americans, the truth about anything is not vitally important, or it can be settled by further review of the camera angles, instant replay. Most Americans would say that the truth is either self-evident or it doesn't exist, except as an abstract ideal that could be debated endlessly, and Americans don't have time for such fruitless endeavors. On the other hand, on the radio, I heard someone described as a political expert talking about our new president, who is quite the controversial figure, the leading player in a drama which seems destined to end badly one way or another. And this political expert said that his inauguration was the dawn, or I should say the beginning, because this does not seem to shed light, of what she called the post-truth era. The phrase did catch my ear. These political experts are always coming up with new eras, and this one is post-truth. The previous president was supposed to preside over what was called the post-racial era, a great and final integration, and I think we all know how that went. We are constantly claiming that we are putting something finally behind us, and then boom, there it is again, calamity, right smack squarely ahead of us. And now this political expert was saying that we were done with the truth. That was hard to swallow, especially after de Tocqueville had told us that we were never interested in it in the first place. If both these political experts were correct, the truth had a very brief run on this soil, if it ever appeared at all. By post-truth era, she meant that, in the past, people, especially politicians, played with the truth. They paid it lip service, they reshaped it, altered it, twisted it, spun it, hid it, but at least they had some relation to it. Now, she was saying, any vestige of the truth is gone, and no pretense whatsoever about this was being made. The new president was standing up and lying directly, telling lie upon lie, and if anyone called him on this, he would attack them, align them with our enemies, and call them, as we did in the middle of the last century, un-American. Part of, in effect, the terrorist threat. So a lie becomes the truth for operating purposes, and when you get into that territory, you have to turn to George Orwell and 1984. This is the book written by a dying man, I suppose a political expert, on a cold little island, about Big Brother and the thought police, doublethink and newspeak, historical revisionism, and thought crimes. The ministry of love breeds fear and hatred. The ministry of plenty sows scarcity, hunger, and want. The ministry of peace wages war. And the ministry of truth spreads propaganda and rewrites history so that it conforms to the reality the inner party has established. And if that can't be done, then that fragment of history is consigned to a memory hole and is forgotten as if it hadn't ever happened. It was a brutal world of paranoia and constant surveillance, one in which the individual was eradicated, or at the very least, crushed into a fearful, obedient slave. The idea in my mind right now, in the year 2017, at the start of the post-truth era, is that Orwell may have been mistaken only in his timeline. Also, to conclude, more quotes from de Tocqueville. First, in regard to Big Brother. Omnipotence in itself seems a bad and dangerous thing. Then, as for the truth, a false but clear and precise idea always has more power in the world than one which is true but complex. And governments which rely on a single idea or easily defined feeling are perhaps not the best, but they are certainly strongest and most enduring.